They play defense at Ole Miss, or so we're hearing. We'll have to see it to believe it, I guess. Talking Ole Miss football with the spring game on tap for Saturday with Jake Evans from the Rebel Walk. So head on over there for the latest on Ole Miss athletics. Jake, how are we doing today?
We're good, Mark. We're good. We're excited to see all of spring practice and this new team kind of culminate into the Grove Bowl tomorrow. Like we were talking about earlier, it's always fun because you get to see you get to see your team succeed. But at the same time, if you're doing well, that means the other side of the ball is not doing very well. So we're excited to see it. We're going to get a good look at what we're expecting this year. Obviously hopes are high, and there's a lot of excitement and energy in Mississippi this year. So yeah, we're excited. We're ready to get it going tomorrow.
I think most people just like to see offense. So they make a lot out of, wow, that was a great 40-yard completion from our quarterback to our wide receiver. But then, as you say, on the flip side, you have to think, okay, does that mean that our coverage skills aren't too good? So again, they're playing against each other. You make it out of it what you will. But so we've had a number of scrimmages in the books before we have the Rebels get back on the field for the last time on Saturday. So I led off with a statement about defense, but you're telling me that they're actually playing some defense for the Rebels.
Yeah. It's through the first two scrimmages, only one touchdown allowed by that starting unit, and obviously that's exciting. There's a lot of returning depth and a lot of incoming talent that is like I said, very exciting for us. But on the flip side of it, they're going against a kind of a shell of the offense that we saw last year. Matt Corral doesn't have most of his weapons. Dontario Drummond, Braylon Sanders, Jonathan Mingo, his top three receivers, all three have been kind of held out back and forth for various little minor injuries. Nothing serious, but he doesn't have his top three receivers. He doesn't have his top two running backs, and he's missing part of his offensive line. So you get excited and you're happy that you're getting some good production out of that defense, but at the same time you got to go, hey, okay, we're not getting the big guns coming against them. So you take it all with a grain of salt, and but that's what all spring practice is about.
Got the spring game coming up on Saturday, 4:00 Central Time. They're on I believe the SEC alternate network, so you can jump online, I believe, if you've got ESPN and get it online or on the SEC alternate network. That's been a bit of a mystery for me the last few weeks in trying to find these games on the SEC alternate network. I don't know if you can clarify any of that for us at all, Jake.
Yeah, honestly, I really don't know. It's been a mystery for me too. I think you might have to have an ESPN Plus subscription. You might have, I don't know. It's all up in the air, but it'll be there somewhere. And if you don't get to see it live, you're definitely going to get to see replays and plenty of it on Twitter.
Absolutely. So, based not just on these scrimmages, but everything that you're hearing coming out of spring practice, what's happened in the last 3 to 4 weeks that stands out to you or makes you think anything different about this football team?
Well, like we said, coming from the offensive side of the ball, we're missing a lot of the major weapons. The guys that we probably will see the most of this year. Jerry Neely, obviously, right now playing baseball. He's going to be the starting running back again for the Rebels this year. So you've got him out. So you've had some younger guys. You've had Snoop Connor running the ball a lot, taking reps with the ones. You've also had Kentrell Bullock running the ball a lot, somebody that hadn't carried it too much, with the exception of the Outback Bowl last year. And so, it's just a lot of new young faces, which obviously it's frustrating to not have, these, the primary guys in there working and building the chemistry. But at the same time, it's good because you get a look at the future and you get to kind of build some depth with some of these younger guys that haven't had as many chances yet. And so, that's kind of the positive we've taken out of it. When it comes to the receivers, like I mentioned, we're missing our top three receivers due to various injuries and, just trying to play it safe, I guess. But it's also good because we're getting, like I said, a chance to build up some of these other guys. Dennis Jackson is one of the guys who's had great reports coming out of spring camp so far. He was a former 4-star, came in with high hopes for Ole Miss, but just really hasn't panned out. He's kind of gotten lost in the mix sort of and hadn't really made the most of his opportunities over the last couple of years. But he's a guy that Lane Kiffin says they're very high on right now. He's been developing really good chemistry with Matt Corral, and they've kind of put him more on the outside. Obviously the role we're trying to fill the biggest on the offensive side is Elijah Moore in that slot. But Dennis Jackson's a guy that they really like on the outside. Quay Davis is a guy transfer from JUCO this past year. He's built more like your outside receiver, but they've put him more in the slot, and apparently he looks very comfortable, catching those bubble screens, kind of being an extension of the run game, sort of. And so those are, two big things, because obviously the biggest question is, how do you replace Elijah Moore? How do you replace 90 catches, 1,500 yards, and all those touchdowns? I mean, it's a tall task. So it's been good to see some of these young guys been able to step in and hopefully make an impact here in a couple months. So it's been good. It's from the offensive side of the ball. Like we said, we're dealing with kind of a shell of what we probably will see and what we did see last year. But this Ole Miss offense for the last 4 or 5 years has been very high powered. Last year it was the 3rd best in the FBS, and so we're excited, and if we get to build depth along the way, we're all for it.
Talking Ole Miss football, we got Jake Evans on the line from the Rebel Walk. So check him out and the rest of the crew, their work covering Ole Miss football and baseball, basketball on down the line. They're in Oxford. You can register at thevoiceofcollegefootball.com, get yourself a free Ole Miss mask or your team of choice. We got 35 available. And even if you don't want a mask, check out our new site there at voiceofcollegefootball.com. Put yourself in the running for a $25 gift card giveaway and a 20% off your first purchase as well. Jake, I don't know if you had a chance to check out the ESPN FPI, the Football Power Index. They've got Ole Miss at number 22. They've got the Rebels with, as they run it through, how strong they think each individual team is going to be, and then compare it against the schedule. Then they spit out this record, which is, basically 7-5, 6.9 wins, 5.1 losses. So yeah, 7-5. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think Ole Miss is going to be one of those teams where, they're always going to have that 7-5 record based on the, based on the track record of the last couple of years. I think until they prove that they can win more than that, they're not going to get credit for being able to do it. And obviously when you got Alabama, which is an almost guaranteed loss for everybody every year, there's a handful of teams that the Rebels have every single year that just, unless you've got to go in that year, it's probably going to be a loss. As Ole Miss fans, we like to play the what if game like everybody does. And, we think we should go about 10-2 next year. But realistically, there's always a few games that seem to get away from the Rebels every year. This year we played 57 of 60 minutes against Alabama. And if we'd have finished those last 3, we might've been able to pull one out, against Alabama. So you can sit there and play the what if game all day long. But, when it comes down to it, we don't really give, too much to that. We don't really spend too much time thinking about that, because when it comes down to it, like I said, we got to prove that we can win more than 7 games before somebody's going to give us credit for it.
Yeah, they're obviously going to kick off these games, and then all this doesn't matter. But 22 seems pretty fair to me. The thing that doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you look at the rest of the division is this ESPN FBI has Mississippi State at number 8.
Yeah.
When has Mississippi State ever been number 8 at anything? Well, in football.
I really don't understand it. I saw that a couple of weeks ago. I'd forgotten where Ole Miss was, but I did remember where Mississippi State was. I don't know. It's the thing is as I kind of see them in the same situation as Ole Miss. I think that they're going to have to prove that they can, be a plus 500 team before somebody should give them credit for it. Obviously, like we said, the SEC is the gauntlet, and you get credit for it to some extent for playing the hardest competition. But I don't understand it. I really personally don't understand it. I don't know, and this is coming from an Ole Miss fan, obviously. So Mississippi State fans and other people might disagree, but I don't know what Mike Leach has shown so far that gives you confidence that he could do that. It just doesn't make sense to me. But, it's better to be sitting at number 22 and have a projected 7-win season than be sitting up there at number 3 with maybe 9 wins or something they're projecting for them. And you got a lot further, you got a lot more room to fall there than Ole Miss does. So, that's what I take of that. This is all just stuff to fill time in the off season and give people something to talk about. So like I said, try not to think too much into it. That's us, at least.
Jake, we know Matt Corral's got an arm. I guess we're going to find out this weekend whether his head coach has an arm.
We will. Yeah. So Ole Miss right now in the middle of the baseball series with LSU. Lost game 1 last night, got game 2 tonight, Friday night at 6:30. And then tomorrow before the Grove Bowl, noon, Lane Kiffin will be throwing out the first pitch. We were talking about it before. We've seen him throw the football. He can throw the football. We got to hope he can throw the baseball because, man, that would be something if he just spiked one in the dirt in front of 12,000 people because it's going to hit Twitter one way or the other. And, with the personality that he brings, you got to hope he can back it up there and fire one down the middle.
My theory on that, when you look at the 3 major sports, is basketball's kind of a wild card. There are plenty of dudes that I've both seen and played with. They could play basketball and they could throw a baseball worth a damn.
Yeah.
But if you can throw a football, you can throw a baseball. And if you can throw a baseball, you can throw a football. That I have never seen where that doesn't carry over from those 2 sports.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I mean, you look at it too. Some of the best players in the NFL at one point were great baseball players. A.J. Brown got drafted by the Padres out of high school. Russell Wilson played, I think, for the Rangers in their spring training for a couple years. Tom Brady got drafted. I mean, it's one of those things where it kind of translates well enough. I mean, you might not be an outstanding baseball player, but you definitely can throw it. And so, at that point, you got to block it all out. You got to block out all the noise, and you just got to try and focus on that mitt because, like I said, if he spikes it, it's going to be he's never going to live it down.
Yeah, if he spikes it, I'm still going to believe that if you had him throw it 10 more times, he would be fine. He just wasn't warmed up, ready to go. But, you can't live that down regardless. You got to perform the one shot you get.
Right.
I think his decision is going to be whether he's just going to cut loose and really, put a little flame on it, really cut loose, or if he's just going to lob it and just play it safe.
Yeah. Well, and I could see it going either way, but also there's a part of me that thinks that he might spike it for the attention. Lane Kiffin, he knows how to get his name out there. I mean, you saw, last year he threw the clipboard 20 rows up into the stands. I'm not saying he meant to do it. I'm not saying it was a publicity stunt by any means, but that guy knows how to get the eyes on him. And so, hey, if a little lob, 50-mile-an-hour pitch right down the middle, everybody's going to give a little clap and say, "Go Rebs," and then we'll move on. If he spikes it in the dirt, he'll be all over Twitter for the next week or so. So I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him to do something crazy just for the attention it would draw. The guy's a mastermind.
Regardless of what anybody thinks about George W. Bush as a president, he made the most famous opening pitch throw during 9/11, after 9/11, of course, at Yankee Stadium. And he didn't even take that from the grass. He went up on the mound, took it from the rubber, and just fired it in there for a strike. Yep. And people remember that.
Oh, yeah. He stepped up there and he just said, he gave a little wave and just hummed that thing in there. He didn't even think about it. And that's what you got to do. You can't think about it. It's not right.
Yeah. And the famous story from that is that Jeter said, "Oh, you gotta take this from the rubber. You can't throw from in front of the mound, or they're going to boo you."
Exactly. Yeah, he stepped up. He knew what he had to do, and he got it done. So we just got to hope Kiffin does the same tomorrow.
All right. Well, I'm going to be searching the net at some point tomorrow night, looking for the Ole Miss spring game to try to get some highlights, if not the whole thing. If I can't find it on one of these multiple SEC networks I have, you would think, based on my background, I would have a little bit more insight into it, but I don't. All right. Good stuff. Ole Miss going at it for their spring game at 4:00 Central Time. It's the Grove Bowl. Jake, we always appreciate you setting us up for the personnel breakdown on the Rebels.
Yep. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. We're excited for tomorrow. The Rebels are going to win, but the Rebels sadly are also going to lose. So we're just going to have to see which side gets the upper hand.